Welcome to Disability, a show about turning your diagnosis into a dominant trait. On October 12, 2015, my guest became the survivor of an incident that left so many heartbroken and changed the lives of countless others. Today, she's telling her story publicly for the first time. Due to the sensitivity of this situation, I ask that you listen with your heart first. Try to have compassion for all parties involved. And let's remember that at the end of the day, real human beings were affected by this and still are to this very day. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Renee.
Hey, Sid.
What's going on, Renee? How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. I can't complain. Good to see you, yo. It's been like, I don't know how many, centuries.
8 years.
Yeah,
Maybe?
okay, all right. That sounds about right. Sounds
'Cause
about right.
You were at the.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so wow, man. But I mean, it's good to see you on a good, nice note, good note,
better
note,
circumstances. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much so. But before we get into, that situation and the nitty-gritty,
Mhm.
take my audience back. What was life like for little Renee?
So yeah, little Renee's life was kind of complex. I had to grow up very quickly. We grew up in the shelter system with my older brother and my mom, who got diagnosed with cancer at a very young age. So it forced me to grow up and become the mother of the household, including my mom. But certain circumstances, you just have to step up and do what you have to do for your family and your loved ones.
No doubt, no doubt. I feel that. So you had to grow up very quickly. You had a lot of responsibility, right? So,
Yeah.
um, did you? I guess what kind of things did you do that kind of take your mind away from that? Did you have any kind of like hobbies or something that was like
So honestly, I had a crazy imagination.
okay, all right, that's fair. That's fair.
So I feel like that's the main way I was able to escape, which probably isn't always the best thing to do. But when you're in an abusive household or a toxic household, the best way you could do to escape mentally while you're still physically there is with your imagination. I wasn't really allowed to do much except like care for the household. So yeah, just my imagination. It's crazy, but yeah.
All right, no, that's fair. That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
So as you got older, we met in high school. Was life still the same around that time, or was it a little? Did anything? How was the dynamics around
It
the
was
time we met?
it was a little more complex.
Okay.
My mom was still abusive around that time. However, like I'm just older.
Right.
You know, I'm now working 2 jobs and like, doing what I do. Um but then like my mom had to go to jail and do a bid,
Oh wow.
which most people didn't know.
Right.
So my mom did a 1 to 3 while I was I think I was in the 10th grade.
Wow.
So that forced me to take care of my little brother who was 3 months old at the time. So I remember like getting left back, and most people were like, I was a good student for the most part, but like at home stuff, overrode that.
Right.
You step up for your family once again. So yeah, I was just a mother figure, not a student most of the time.
Right.
But after I got left back, I found it very important to myself to finish high school. It was just something that I had to prove to myself.
No father, no dad, any step, nothing.
Yeah, so my dad, I do have a father. He's just
Mhm.
not as present. We just started to reconnect as an adult.
Okay.
After the situation or the incident that I survived from, and then losing my mother a couple of years later, it just forced me to understand like we are given certain people in our lives, and we have to cherish that relationship no matter what the dynamics were when we were growing up.
Right.
And it's up to us to see things in a different perspective
Yeah.
and be able to change that narrative. We are able to change our stories, whether we believe it or not.
Right. No doubt.
Mm-hmm.
So you were all through high school, basically. Oh well, I guess during you said you was in the shelter.
Well, in high
What?
school,
That was before.
yeah, in high school, I was actually living in the projects. We finally
Okay.
got home.
Okay.
But, yeah, so I was growing up in the projects.
Okay.
East side of Harlem,
Okay.
Washington projects to be exact.
Right. Shout out Wash. And it's funny that you say that because when I met you, right, it's like, what is this white girl doing? Like living in the project? Like she really like, you know what I'm saying? Because for those who don't know, we went to Martin Luther King High School, right? So it's an inner city school, public school, you know, metal detectors, whole nine. So, you know, when I met you, I'm just like, but it never came off like inauthentic, right? Like this was just who you was. You know what I'm saying? That's why I just like respected it so much because it was like, yeah, like this is just she's just really about it. Like this is really her life. Like, you know what I'm saying? What was your just for I guess shits and giggles? What was your first impression of me? Because that was my first impression of you. Like, what the hell is this white girl doing in this? But she's really about it.
No, so I remember. I think the first time I ever came across you, I think you and Jean were like joking in class or something.
Okay, all right, sounds about right.
And I was like, who's this jokester?
Yeah.
But yeah, that was like, I don't know. You and Jean used to always make the class laugh. So
yeah.
That's my most memories of you guys.
All right. Shout out Millie, he's my brother. You know I love you, kid.
Yeah.
Okay, so a big part of this story, high school, is Walikwa, right?
Which, thank you for saying her name is Walikwa, because most people don't know her name is Walikwa.
Okay. All right, so that's what I know her as.
The people that knew who she was knew her name was Walikwa, but most people who knew her, like who didn't know her personally, knew her name as Grace.
Okay. So around this time, first and foremost, you know, sleep in peace, Walikwa.
Yes.
How did you guys connect? Like,
high school?
Do you remember how you guys started bonding and everything around that time?
I was in the same friend group as her.
Okay, all right.
It was always the same friends in high school. It was a bunch of us: Quay, Deasia, Walikwa, Sheena, Megan, the other Megan.
Right.
It was just a group of girls that we all hung out with, either in class, because some of us had classes together, lunch, whatever it may be. But that's how I grew to know Walikwa.
Okay. And for the people who never got a chance to meet her, how would you describe her personality? Yeah, it's all good. I know.
Sorry.
it's all good.
That's nasty.
No. You know, listen, seasons changing out here.
Know,
New York City is crazy. It's winter one day, summer the next.
Not to mention get on the train is freezing. But no, Walikwa was such an amazing person. She was very bright. She wanted everybody to have a good time when she was around. She just wanted to laugh, have fun. She always wanted people to do better too. She's always been a good influence in my life, always, you know, motivated me to be better, chase my dreams. She was just overall just a great soul. She had the brightest smile. She was such a great mother first before anything.
Right.
There wasn't anything that she wouldn't do for her son. And I used to always compliment her on her motherhood because as a single mother, well, I'm not a single mother, but watching her be a single mother and how dedicated she was to her son was very commendable.
Right.
So.
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely. I remember, that's one of the things I remember vividly about Walikwa was like her smile, her laugh, how, you know, like lighthearted she was and everything during high school. All right, so now that we went back, let's fast forward, right? October 12th, you wake up early, you know, dates. I don't know how the day started from you, but what was the day like for you on that day?
It was actually a pretty normal day. Most of the days I spent my days with Walikwa. Excuse me. Most of my days were spent with Walikwa when I wasn't working. That was just the kind of bond that we had. That was like my sister. So I woke up. Grace didn't have her son that weekend. He was with his grandmother for the weekend. So it was like, oh, what are we doing this weekend? We did party host and go out and party sometimes.
Right.
October 1st was her birthday. As a Libra, she always wanted to party for the whole month, to celebrate her birthday for the whole month.
Okay.
So there was a specific party that happens October 12th or around that day, depending on wherever the weekend falls. It was called the Blackout Party. We used to go to every single year. Waliko had mentioned it to me, and I kind of didn't want to go. There was another party happening that night, Cardi B's birthday in Sue's when she was still a stripper there.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, it's a throwback.
That's way back. All right.
And my friend at the time, who was a baker, was doing her cake, so she invited us to go and celebrate at Sue's. She had a section, whatever.
Right.
But I don't know, something just told me, like, I had a feeling in my stomach, and it was just like, don't go to this party.
So you had a feeling about the blackout party that we
like,
did,
don't
like
go to this party.
Okay.
Like, I don't know. My intuition was talking to me, which I now know.
Right.
But at the time, I just kept getting a weird feeling in my stomach about this specific party. Long story short, we went about our day. We went to Dave & Buster's to play video games, get food, drinks, whatever. That same night was the Walking Dead premiere, which we were huge fans of. So our plan was to go to Dave & Buster's, have fun, get our food or drinks, go home, watch the video, and then go out and party that night.
Okay.
We were also with our male best friend, Daryl, at the time. So it was same regular
typical,
you know, hanging out, whatever.
Day. Okay.
So after we went to Dave & Buster's, we went back to Grace's house. I literally fell asleep on this girl's couch trying not to go to this party, watching The Walking Dead. Daryl too. Daryl was also going to the Sue's party, so he was trying to talk her into going to that party too. For some reason, Waliko was not trying to hear it. She was very stuck or adamant about going to this blackout party.
Okay.
So she wakes me up off her couch, like, come on, we got to get ready. It's getting late. And same thing, I'm kind of like fighting it, like, no, I kind of want to go to the Sue's party instead. Now I'm trying to get Daryl to, like, come on, Daryl, like, you know. Right. She's just not having it. So at this point in time, Daryl's like, I got to go get ready. Let me know what y'all going to do if y'all need me to pick y'all up, whatever. We like, all right, cool. He leaves. I'm like, oh, I don't have nothing to wear. Trying to come up with, like, every excuse in the book. Long story short, we wound up back at my house to get dressed. And then we went to this stupid party. We got there around, I want to say midnight. Okay. Or a little before midnight. It was all the way downtown in the 20s on the east side. Well, I want to say Midway because I remember, like, Broadway being a main street over there. So I think we are in, like, 21st or 22nd Street.
Okay, before you keep going, I just want to set it up for people listening. So early in the day, early in the day on the 12th, you guys chilling. Yep. Regular business as usual. You going to Dave & Buster's. You having a good time. You got drinks, watching The Walking Dead. We all chilling. You hear about two parties. The first party in which you guys did go to. And the second party you guys didn't go to. But your male friend Daryl went to. Okay. So eventually, Walik was very adamant about going to this party. It's the party she wanted to go to. It's her birthday month. You're going to do what the birthday girl wants to do, right? I get it. Okay, so now we are at the time where we have officially gotten to the club. And you said it's around midnight? Okay, so now you're in the club. You guys are clubbing. Yeah. Go ahead now.
So the crazy part is, like, there was a few people from high school there that night.
Okay. Right.
That we didn't see in quite a while. So, you know, catching up, just having fun in the club. It was actually a very crowded or lit night, as you would say. We had, like, well, my experience. We had a great, amazing time, to be honest with you. We were having so much fun. Again, we're bumping into people we haven't seen in a very long time, catching up with people, partying with people, take a shot, whatever. Like, we had a bottle, we had a table, just me and Grace. And then at some point in time, I don't know what time it is because when you're partying. Back then, at that time, it wasn't like a huge social media thing.
Right.
People weren't on their phones. They're actually dancing, enjoying company, enjoying the party, whatever. So, again, I don't know what time it is. A fight breaks out in the club. Huge fight, big brawl. And then after they kind of, like, calmed the fight down or whatever, they started kicking everybody out the club.
Okay.
At that time, like, Uber was a thing, but it wasn't like a thing, like, where it's like frequent or whatever. I'm still using kind of like the El Barrio service, you know, app or whatever. So I'm arguing with the bouncer because I'm like, I don't feel comfortable going outside. Like, you
Right.
know, where we're from,
Right,
you
right,
know, when stuff happens, you stay in safety.
right, right, absolutely.
So they're telling us to get out the club. I'm like, I don't feel comfortable leaving the club. So now they're like kind of forcing us out the club.
Okay.
Um,
Do you know the other people who was fighting?
So at the time when the fight broke out,
Yeah.
again, we're in the club. The club is dark.
Right.
So I can't see. I don't know who's fighting. I just see like a bunch of people fighting.
Okay.
Guys, girls, everybody panicking.
Okay.
It was like a big fight, not like a small fight where it's like it was big. Like.
Okay.
So you just see like a bunch of people fighting. So again, I don't know who it was fighting, what was happening. I just knew it was a bunch of commotion.
Okay.
I need to worry about me and my friend kind of thing.
Right.
So I remember us exiting the club, and remember like when I left the club, we had turned to go towards like the main street to hail a cab because my phone had died. I don't remember how many steps we took, but I remember like the shot happened. I seen her go down slowly, and then I went down slowly, and then like I kind of just heard commotion.
Right.
I didn't know I was shot at first because Grace got hit first.
Okay.
And her scream or moan and her pain concerned me.
Right.
So I went to get up to like go check on her, but like somebody, I don't know who it was that pushed me down, but somebody pushed me down, was like, "Don't move, you've been shot."
Right.
And I was like, and I kind of like put my hand on my back to try to figure out where I was shot, because again, I didn't know I was shot.
Right.
And then I like looked down at my hand and seen all the blood, and that's when like I guess I felt everything.
Okay.
Like everything came into reality or something. I don't know.
So this is when you guys are waiting to hail the cab.
Well, we were walking toward like
Okay, to get the cab.
Mm-hmm.
And then did you hear the shots, or like immediately as you heard the shots, you like were hit at the, was it simultaneously?
Honestly, everything happened so fast.
Right. Okay.
All I remember was like hearing the shot, but seeing Grace go down at the same time.
Okay.
And then hearing another shot, but like me going down, like it happened so fast, but in slow motion at the same time for me.
Okay.
That you can't pinpoint exactly where it came from, what happened, whatever. You just kind of like let it happen and then figure out.
And then you reacted. So somebody had to tell you that you were hit. And once that reality set in, how do you remember the sensation, like your body?
Yeah.
How did that feel?
It just felt like somebody was like burning my back. Like that's the only thing I can explain. Like a sharp burning sensation, and it just intensified. And then at some point it started to feel cool and hot at the same time, but then I felt pain. It was just a very weird experience, to be honest.
Right. And where exactly were you hit?
It went out my lower back and through. It went in and out my hip. Wow. And then another bullet ricocheted because there was scaffolding outside, and took a piece of my left heel that grew back eventually, but it was disgusting.
The human body, though.
Yeah, but no, after and during those, the human body is definitely amazing in what it could do as far as recovery. So that's the only thing I could say about that. But
right. So Waliqua, so now you're down, but you said that you heard Waliqua's scream, and you completely focused on that. Somebody had to tell you that you were hit because you were so focused on Waliqua. So what was, while you guys were laying on the ground, paint that scene for us. What was going on?
Okay, so Waliqua I fell face forward, like on my stomach.
Okay.
Waliqua fell, and I don't know how, but somehow she was on her back.
Right.
But she wasn't laying on the sidewalk. She was laying on the vent for the train, the metal vent that's on the sidewalk for the train.
Okay.
And I was on the sidewalk.
Okay.
So you couldn't see how much blood she was losing or where she was shot or anything, because everything was dripping down. So she was laid like this, and I was kind of laid like this.
Right.
So I was able to like reach her hand and grab her hand. So that's what I did. So that I couldn't move.
Right.
And And I kind of just kept squeezing her hand to let her know, like, somebody was here.
Right.
And I was just like, hey, Grace, you know, we're going to be okay. Just hold on. Ambulance is coming, kind of thing. I didn't know what to say, to be honest with you.
Right. You was just trying to
keep her aware
aware,
because
yeah.
I just knew, like, you know, squeeze her hand. She was squeezing my hand back a little bit. And then, like, she kind of just started saying, like, just let my son know, you know, that he was my world and mommy loves him. And just always let him know how much his mother loved him. And I kind of just stopped talking like that, you know. You're going to be fine. You're going to make it. I kept squeezing her hand. And then the ambulance came. So they took her first because they seen that she was in more like a serious condition than I was. They had already cut my dress open at this time on the sidewalk and seen where I was shot. So they knew, like, not to say like I was okay, but like she needed the ambulance.
She was in critical condition. Okay.
So they took her from the scene. Then the second and third ambulance came, got me and the other person, because there was another girl who we don't know who got grazed on her shoulder or something like that.
Okay.
But I kind of like blacked out at that point.
Right.
When I got into the ambulance, like I remember getting on the stretcher.
Right.
I remember like they had me hold the oxygen mask, whatever.
Okay.
And then from there, I just kind of like woke up in the hospital.
Okay.
At that point in time, I didn't know what happened yet. I just kind of knew, like, I got shot.
Right. So, and take your time. You know, we ain't got to rush through anything. Okay, so do you know how much time passed between getting hit in the ambulance coming up? Do you remember?
I have no idea.
No, okay. But
I just remember, like, it was taking a little long. Because I just remember people yelling. Like, I just remember people talking. Like, I remember me focusing on Grace and hearing her, but I'm also hearing, like, people, like, call the ambulance. What's taking the ambulance so long? Right. Who called for help? Like, you hear that kind of stuff in the background. But, like, you're still trying to focus on, like, your loved one, you know? Because at the end of the day, like, this is who you were here for, too, you know?
Right, right.
So it's kind of like, forget everything else.
Right. So even in the midst of you being shot and not knowing your condition, really, you were still holding her hand and letting her know you were there, right?
Yeah.
So you a hell of a friend. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like people should, everybody needs a friend like that, because that's, you know, you really, you know, that talk about life or death situation. That's a life or death situation, right? So they took Grace first. Yeah. They took Waleed to the hospital. You were next. At what point did you, gather your mind and start coming back and trying to get a grip on what was going on, and not only with your condition but her condition too?
So when I woke up in the hospital alone, number one. I had to press the nurse button to let them know that I was awake.
Right.
And then she just came over and she was asking me how I was feeling. And then I just was like, I'm okay. Like, how's Grace? What's going on with Grace? I need to know what's going on with my friend. And she just kept kind of like ignoring what I was saying and was like, oh, we'll have a doctor come and talk to you about your condition. I'll see if somebody from her family could come because HIPAA, whatever.
Right.
And I was like, okay, well, somebody has to come and talk to me about something. I need to know what's going on. They kind of just told me, like, I was lucky because if it was 3 millimeters to the left, it would have shattered my hip, the gun, the bullet.
Wow.
And that I would just have to do physical therapy. But, yeah, that was kind of it. From there, they gave me, like, I didn't have clothes because, again, they cut everything off of me and they kept everything for evidence. So they kept my phone, my wallet, literally everything I had on me.
So I guess at this point, well, I guess soon the police are going to get involved now, right? Because you're talking about evidence, right? And I'm assuming at that time you guys didn't see who fired anything, right? Okay, so we'll get to that part.
Yeah.
Okay.
So from there, then 2 detectives came in.
As you was in the hospital room recovering, two detectives came in to
Yeah.
speak to you. Okay.
Like not long after I woke up.
Okay.
Let me rewind. The first people that came to my room after the nurse were
What are detectives?
No. Grace's father and cousin.
Oh, so her family, when you woke up, her family were...
Well, after I asked, like, hey, what's happening? They were like, somebody has to come talk to you.
Okay.
Grace's father and cousin walked into the room. At this point, again, I didn't know Grace was gone. They started crying as soon as they walked into the room. I kind of knew something happened, but I didn't know exactly what.
Right.
And then they just basically told me, like, she didn't make it.
Wow.
And I just remember, like, breaking down and crying and, like, just asking for my phone. And that's when the detectives came and were like, they're not allowed to give me my phone because there's evidence on the phone. I was told at that time the person who did the shooting left a voicemail on my phone.
Wow.
But I didn't know this because,
okay.
You know, I was unconscious.
Right.
So at that point in time, they're saying that they were on the look for this person. They're saying the person's real name, but I didn't know the person's real name.
Right.
I only knew this person by his nickname.
Okay.
So again, I didn't know who exactly did it.
Right.
Until later on.
Okay. But they were informing you that whoever the person was, the culprit, he knew who you were and left a voicemail on your phone. Yeah. Okay. So before we get into the whole police thing, because that's next, another subject. But when you heard that news that Waleed was gone, I know at the time you're still processing what you're going through, right? So now it's like you got what you just went through. Now you just got an even heavier, right? Burden, or heavier load at the moment, right? So and now you got detectives coming to speak to you, right? Who's with you at this time? Like who are you speaking? Are you anybody? Who's supporting you during this moment? Is it just you, or what's going on outside of this?
So my mom, I actually was able to call my mom.
Okay.
The detectives were able to give me my phone to make the call to my mom. My mom lived in Vegas at the time.
Okay.
One of her friends' nieces brought clothes to me because she lived not far from the hospital. So she was there with me. This was also my friend at the time, but, well, it's her sister. So she brought me the clothes, so she's there with me. And then Deasia.
Okay.
Deasia, another friend from high school that you know.
Yeah. Shout out Deasia.
She showed up, thank God. And she actually was the one that stayed with me throughout the whole process until they even discharged me from the precinct. So shout out to Deasia.
Yeah, absolutely.
But other than that, I didn't have support. It was just me.
Wow. When did the whole investigation aspect of this start? Because like you mentioned, you had the voicemail on your phone, so they informed you that clearly you know who this person. To some extent, the person definitely knows you if they're leaving a voicemail. I don't know how much you knew, but okay. So, were you? I guess after you left the hospital, did you have to go in?
Oh, they took me directly from the hospital. I didn't get to leave. They took me.
Wow, they took you straight from
the hospital directly to the back of a cop car, directly to a precinct.
Wow. For
questioning.
Wow. Okay.
And they were basically questioning me like, well, why would this person leave a voicemail?
Right.
What would they be telling you? And in my head, I'm like, I don't know. Can we play the voicemail? Because I want to know this too. But I still don't know till this day what was on that voicemail. I even still have a lot of unanswered questions myself, and I'm a victim, even though I feel like I wasn't treated as such during that time.
Right.
But no, I went straight from the hospital to getting questioned. Same day.
Same day.
Couple hours later.
Okay, yeah. So they were on it.
Yeah.
They were on it. Okay. Yeah. And how Do you know how long the whole process took from the actual shooting to the whole court date and him
Mm.
having his day in court? What was the time length
There
between
was
that?
a lot of time between that. So like, um, there was a lot of time between that. With this happened in 2015. Excuse me. He didn't get sentenced until I believe that was 2018.
2018. Okay. And what was
2018.
his
His sentence.
ultimate sentence? Yeah.
He got 39 years.
39 years.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Do you feel like justice was served?
Honestly, I don't like to answer this question. Right?
Okay. No, I respect it.
And the only reason why I don't like to answer this question is because at the end of the day, again, I got shot from behind.
Right.
I don't know who did this.
Right.
Still to this day.
Right.
Again, I never heard this voicemail.
Right.
I wasn't. I don't have enough information to answer that question.
I got you.
You get what I'm saying? At the end of the day, a life was lost. People's lives were changed because this life was lost.
Right.
I don't think anybody could ever fulfill that, no matter the amount of justice, because
Right. No, I respect it.
Yeah.
So what's your relationship like with Walika's family at this point?
It's kind of non-existent. Me and her mom kind of saw things differently.
Okay.
Again, when you lose a loved one, you can't tell somebody how to grieve or how to cope.
Right.
And people just have different ways of looking at things or coping with things. And during that time, I just had to separate myself to be able to heal.
Right.
And, still have some sanity mentally. Because I feel like a lot of people back then didn't realize that I was a survivor too.
Right.
And I did experience a bunch of traumas in one night that most people probably wouldn't endure in their lifetime.
Right.
But yeah, no.
What kind of trauma were you? What because you left the hospital and went straight to the precinct, but what were the doctors saying? Like what kind of medical, what kind of physical diagnosis did you have? Because this is disability, it's about medical, and I know that being a gunshot survivor, like, it has to come with some kind of trauma. So what exactly were you dealing with on top of that?
So I was diagnosed with PTSD and survivor's guilt.
Okay.
I did start suffering from anxiety and panic attacks. Some more severe than others. I was kind of afraid to leave my house for like six months to a year.
Right.
I had to learn how to walk with a cane for a little while before I was able to walk again, kind of normally, if you will.
Right.
And then fast forward till now. I tore my meniscus as well. When I landed on my knee and tore my meniscus, so I had to have meniscal repair surgery.
Wow. And also your heel too, right?
No, that just kind of like grew back on its own.
Right. Okay.
There was nothing they could do for that.
Right. But that's still a medical injury. Right?
I kind of had to like nurture that back, but and then fast forward now, I'm diagnosed with fibromyalgia.
And what exactly is that?
Fibromyalgia is basically widespread pain throughout the muscles and nerves of the body. So I experience widespread pain, fatigue. I have sensitivity to light, smells, migraines. It comes with like a whole bunch of other stuff as well.
Right.
But basically, the way they explained it to me was like, since my body has endured so many traumas throughout its life, the brain receptors to pain are off. And so now like my body is like always showing or feeling pain even when it doesn't, kind of.
Wow.
So yeah, that's fibromyalgia.
Oh wow. That's a new one for me.
Yeah. Most people, I'm not gonna lie, when I say fibromyalgia, they get it confused with fibroids, and I have to like educate them.
Okay. Yeah. I can see that.
There's a big difference, but similarity in name. But yeah.
Would you say it was more difficult to deal with the physical injuries or the the mental and emotional aspect
The
of
mental
it.
and the emotional aspect.
Do you have like
For
a
me,
yeah?
yeah.
Do you have like a therapist that you see now?
Yeah, I do. Every week, every Friday.
Okay, shout
Every
out the
Friday,
therapist every
yeah. Every
Friday. Okay,
Friday, I don't miss my therapy at all.
okay,
Because therapy is also kind of like intertwined into the fibromyalgia.
okay,
When you have like depression or anxiety flare ups, kind of flares up the fibromyalgia. It's like a cycle.
okay. Um, has the therapist helped with the survivor's guilt PTSD aspect of it?
Um, I feel like it has helped a lot. But again, it's an ongoing journey, and that's what I'm
Mhm.
learning too.
Right.
I'm learning that like through life, our journeys are lifetime, right? We're always gonna have different things to overcome or work through.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still working through childhood stuff. That's 34 years old. You know,
Right.
34 years of traumas that you have to kind of like unwind. It's not gonna happen overnight. So
Yeah. No. No doubt.
yeah.
Um, before we go, I ask everybody this question. Um, your disability has given you this ability to be or do what?
I want to say this has given me the ability to be more authentically myself.
Okay.
And be able to share my story in hopes of like changing somebody's life.
Yeah.
Cause the with Grace that I did create, it's just reminding people to pour back into yourself and to give yourself grace each day because nobody else is gonna do it for us.
No, that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Well, like you said, pouring to people with grace, and that's how you create a skincare line. Like,
Mhm.
let's see it. Let's talk about it, because people love the
Yeah.
skincare.
So
So
I
tell
brought
me how
you.
that came about.
Yeah, of course. Here, I brought you a whole kit. It's
Oh, you
called.
pulled me a whole
Yeah, I brought you
kit.
a
All
whole kit. A whole
right.
kit.
So,
Because I don't know. I feel like guys feel like they don't need a skincare routine or
mhm.
self care. I don't know. It's like gender specific these days.
Right.
I feel like guys need skincare or self care just as much as a female. We're still
Okay.
human.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt.
And with the routine is kind of just like what I teach with my skincare is like every day you look yourself in the mirror every morning and night. You do that routine with your skin, but you're also checking in with yourself mentally.
Right.
Gives yourself to unwind, and just pour into yourself. It also helps you makes you look younger and like
That's important. That's
keep you
important.
looking good. I'm very a lot of people say I don't look my age, but yeah, skincare was a major way I was able to overcome a lot of the traumas that I endured.
Right.
Especially like the days that were rough. If I got up and I did my skincare routine, said my affirmations in the mirror,
Right.
did what I had to do, poured back into myself, I was a little more ready for the day than I was when I initially woke up. So that's why I created with Grace Skin, so that way I could share that grace with other people.
That's awesome. Jay, you can see this, right? You can see this on the wide?
Mm, yeah.
Yeah, with grace. Okay. And like we said earlier, some people knew Waliko as Grace, and
Mm-hmm.
this is why I guess this is where the inspiration
Yeah.
of the name came from. With
It was
Grace.
like a double entendre in a sense.
Right.
Because I also learned through my lessons that I had to give grace and do all things with grace in order to like heal from them and let it go.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was just like, okay, why not with grace,
Yeah, no, I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. And shout out my little sister. She do all the skincare stuff, so I'm sure she'll get me right, tell me what I need to use and everything like that.
Yep.
And yeah, Renee, thank you, man.
No, of course.
I appreciate you
Thank you
coming.
for having me. Thank you for listening.
Yeah,
Thank you for giving me the platform
no, absolutely.
and the safe space. Because the reason why I haven't spoken about this is because I haven't felt comfortable enough just going onto anybody's podcast and talking about it.
Right.
You knowing her and having a space of love in your heart for her means
Yeah.
even more to me than you may know.
Yeah,
you know?
no, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I thank you for sharing, because everybody's gonna have their side,
Yeah.
but your side as somebody who was there, and like I said earlier, sleep in peace while equal.
Yeah.
But you're here and you're able to speak about it, and you're able to like you said, give a message to people,
Yeah.
because I think I was doing like looking at numbers, and I believe like 95% of the homicides in New York are like minorities.
Yeah.
And it's just unfortunate that the situation happened, but you know, you came out on the other side, and you know, you're not you know it. You came out on the other side, but you came out with it was a lot that you came out with.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that you're able to articulate that and come here today and share it with me, I really do appreciate that.
Thank you.
Facts. All right. So yeah, this been episode 2 of Disability. Like, comment, subscribe on YouTube. You know the vibes. I'll be back with another one soon. Peace.